Hey Celtics Nation, what's going on? The energy around this team right now feels different. The preseason might still be early, the lights might not be shining at full strength yet, but the vibes? They're great. The locker room looks connected, the chemistry seems real, and you can already feel that the Celtics are walking into this new season with a clear mindset. Play together, stay accountable, and chase something bigger than individual stats. And a lot of that starts with Joe Mazzulla. Now, Joe's been a fascinating figure ever since he took over the head coach role. The guy has this intensity that sometimes gets misunderstood. You see him on the sidelines, pacing, locked in, calling out players for defensive mistakes after a single missed rotation. And people label him as Crazy Joe. But lately, there's been this growing awareness inside the Celtics camp that what you see on TV isn't necessarily the full story. Behind the scenes, Mazzulla's been doing a lot more than just coaching basketball. He's been building relationships. Take Anthony Simons, for example. The moment he arrived in Boston, he talked about how quickly that bond with Mazzulla started to form. They've connected not only on the court, but on a personal level. Simons said Joe knows his family. He knows Joe's, and that mutual trust makes all the difference when it's time to be held accountable during games. That's something we've been hearing more and more. About Joe spending time with Derek White in Colorado, showing up during Jason Tatum's rehab, or even catching up with Peyton Pritchard and Jaylen Brown during the offseason. These moments might not make headlines, but they're the glue that holds a team together. Still, perception matters. And the viral clips from Joe's pressers, those intense post-game quotes, tend to overshadow the human side. He's not trying to build Mazzulla ball. What he wants is Celtics basketball. A culture where everyone, from superstar to rotation player, buys in completely. And that's why this season feels so fascinating. The Celtics are entering the year without a couple of their usual pillars. No Tatum, no Porzingis, no Drew Holiday for stretches. And even though those absences change the picture, it's a real opportunity to see how Mazzulla's leadership translates when the spotlight shifts to the next group up. When you're leading a championship-caliber franchise, the pressure never fades. Expectations in Boston are sky-high every single year. But that's also where Joe's philosophy becomes so crucial. He's not trying to make players feel safe after mistakes. He's trying to build an environment where mistakes become lessons, where accountability is collective. It's not about playing perfectly, it's about learning fast. That's what creates that resilient mentality you need deep into the season. And man, the road ahead doesn't get any easier. Looking at the early part of the Celtics schedule, it's clear this team won't have much time to ease in. They open against the Sixers, and if Joel Embiid is on the floor, that's going to be a battle from the jump. Then you've got New York, Detroit, New Orleans, Cleveland, a stretch filled with physical games and teams eager to prove something. Even the mid-tier matchups like Houston or Orlando aren't simple anymore. These young teams are hungry, they're athletic, and they're going to test Boston's discipline every night. What I love, though, is how Joe's been preparing his roster mentally for that grind. It's not about flashy plays or highlight moments right now. It's about setting a tone, that gritty, consistent, high-effort identity the Celtics have always been known for when they're at their best. Whether you're Jaylen Brown or a guy fighting for rotation minutes like Jordan Walsh or Josh Minott, the message stays the same. You've got to earn your place every single night. Speaking of Minott, he's quietly been one of the most exciting storylines in this preseason. The guy's energy jumps off the screen. His athleticism gives the Celtics a spark they didn't have before, and you can feel that hunger to prove himself. He's got that why not me attitude that every successful role player needs. And it's not just him. Walsh, once he's fully healthy again, could be right there too. Mazzulla loves guys who bring defensive chaos, who disrupt passing lanes, who make plays just by being everywhere. Boston has built its modern identity on defense, and this new wave of wings might fit that mold perfectly. But of course, for every player rising, there's someone on the bubble. The preseason hasn't been kind to a few of the depth guys. The team's been trying to figure out what to expect from players like Neemias Queta and Baylor Scheierman. Scheierman came in with a reputation as a reliable shooter, but the shot hasn't quite landed so far. And in a system like Boston's, where spacing is everything, that matters. You can see the effort defensively, the playmaking's improving, but in a roster that deep, someone's always fighting for the last few minutes. And then there's the big man rotation question. Mazzella has decisions to make there. Luke Kornet, Quetta, and the newly added front court depth all bring different things, but none of them can truly replace what Porzingis gives you. That's why these preseason minutes matter more than fans might realize. Every possession is an audition for trust. Can you rotate properly on defense? Can you execute in the pick and roll? These are the tiny things that decide who plays when the real games start. Even with all that uncertainty, there's something refreshing about this version of the Celtics. You can feel that sense of purpose, the idea that everyone is trying to move in the same direction, no matter what role they play. The veterans are leading, but they're also holding each other accountable. You see it in practice clips, you hear it in interviews. There's no superstar ego here. It's all about building that unified, relentless version of Celtics basketball that opponents hate to play against. And let's not forget, this team's margin for error early on is thin. The first month of the season could easily swing the tone for the entire year. If Boston manages to stay near 500 while they're still figuring things out, it's going to speak volumes about Mazzella's growth as a coach. He's not just managing talent. He's managing personalities, emotions, and expectations. You can see he's evolved since that first chaotic year. He's calmer, more confident, and more willing to connect off the court. That's the kind of growth that turns a good coach into a great one. I think what really makes this moment special is that we're seeing a team being built on trust. It's not just about finding the next superstar. It's about creating a culture where players know they can be pushed, challenged, and still feel supported. That's what makes organizations like Boston sustainable, the constant evolution of their identity. Whether it's Derek White mentoring younger guys, or Tatum setting the tone in rehab, or Brown embracing more leadership responsibility, the Celtics are showing that every layer of the roster matters. The season hasn't even started yet, and sure, it's easy to be optimistic when you're undefeated in October. But something about this group feels different. They've been through disappointment, through trades, through media criticism, and still, the vibes haven't cracked. If they can carry that togetherness into the grind of the regular season, this could be one of those years where the Celtics surprise everyone. Not by adding some big name, but by rediscovering what made Boston basketball great in the first place. Now let's talk about who really stands to gain the most from this season. Because every year in Boston, there's always a handful of players who can completely shift their careers depending on how they perform. One of the biggest names in that conversation right now has to be Anthony Simons. He's in such a unique spot because for him this season could either solidify his place as a long-term piece in the Celtics system or turn him into one of the league's hottest free agents by next summer. The opportunity is massive. He's surrounded by veterans who can help him mature on the defensive end. He's in a system designed to create open looks, and he's going to get more catch-and-shoot chances than at any other point in his career. If he knocks those shots down at high clip and keeps showing growth as a playmaker, there's no question that his value around the league will skyrocket. At the same time, Joe Mazzella might be facing one of the biggest prove-it seasons of his coaching career. Sure, he's already earned respect inside the Celtics organization, but now he has the chance to earn it league-wide. Think about it. He's coaching a team that's not only expected to win, but expected to dominate. That pressure can either crush you or sharpen you. And from what we've seen so far, Joe looks ready for the challenge. The narrative around him has always been about the threes, about the analytics, about playing fast and spacing the floor. But this year, it feels like he's adding a new layer. He's balancing data with emotion. He's listening more. He's making those personal connections that transform a locker room from just a collection of talent into an actual brotherhood. When you listen to the players talk about him now, there's a sense of mutual respect that wasn't as obvious before. Guys like Brown and Tatum, who've been through multiple coaching changes, sound genuinely invested in Joe's message. That's a sign that something's working. Because in the NBA, schemes and strategies matter, but if the players aren't fully bought in, none of that means anything. Mazzella seems to have figured out that balance. When to push, when to pull back, when to challenge, and when to support. But even with that chemistry building, the road won't be easy. The Celtics' early stretch of games is going to test every bit of that culture. You've got physical teams like Philadelphia, confident squads like New York, and a sneaky good Orlando team that's been on a rise. Each one of those matchups will reveal something about this group. Can they stay composed when shots aren't falling? Can they stay disciplined when defenses start switching everything? These are the moments that define good teams early in the year. What's going to make it interesting is watching how the rotation shapes up through those challenges. We already mentioned Josh Minott as a breakout candidate, but this season could also be huge for guys like Peyton Pritchard, who's been steadily carving out his identity as one of the best energy guards in the league. Pritchard might not have the flashiest stat lines, but his ability to push the tempo and knock down threes makes him an invaluable spark plug. Then there's Jordan Walsh, who's been unlucky with injuries but has all the tools to become a defensive problem for opponents once he's fully healthy. Boston doesn't need him to score 15 points a night. They need him to bring that relentless defensive energy that shifts momentum when he checks in. On the flip side, players like Mimi Izqueta and Baylor Shireman have to treat every minute like an audition. Mazzulla's not handing out opportunities just because someone's on the roster. If you're on the court, you've got to earn those minutes. Quetta has shown flashes. His size and instincts make him an interesting option in certain matchups, but he still needs to prove that he can consistently read the game at NBA speed. Shireman, on the other hand, is going through the adjustment every young shooter faces. The line's deeper, the pace is faster, and defenders close out quicker. If that jumper starts to fall, though, his stock could change in an instant. And then there's the conversation that always comes up around this time of year, potential trades. Fans love to speculate about who the Celtics could bring in, and one of the names that's quietly floated around is Daniel Gafford. He's that kind of player who doesn't demand the ball, plays his role perfectly, protects the rim, and finishes strong around the basket. That's the type of big man that could fit really well in this rotation, especially with Porzingis dealing with health concerns. But let's be real, none of that happens unless the team feels they need a shakeup. If Boston's playing well, if the chemistry's right, they're not touching that roster. Mazzulla's focus has always been about internal growth before external fixes. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NBA world is reportedly in turmoil as whispers around the league suggest that Boston Celtics star Jayson Tatum may be facing a suspension of up to 1 year due to a failed doping test. While the Celtics organization has yet to issue an official statement, sources close to the matter indicate that the young forward's future in the league could be in jeopardy. Tatum, widely regarded as one of the premier talents in the NBA, has been the cornerstone of Boston's ambitions for the past several seasons. Known for his scoring prowess, clutch performances, and leadership on the court, the 26-year-old's absence would leave a massive void in the Celtics lineup. Fans and analysts alike are scrambling to make sense of the news, with social media buzzing with speculation and disbelief. The nature of the substance involved has not been disclosed, fueling a storm of conjecture. Some insiders suggest it may have been a banned performance-enhancing substance, while others hint at an accidental ingestion scenario, perhaps linked to supplements or medications. Regardless, the potential 1-year ban, if confirmed, would be one of the most significant suspensions for a high-profile NBA player in recent memory. Reactions across the league have been immediate and varied. Fellow stars have expressed cautious support for Tatum, emphasizing the importance of due process and the presumption of innocence. Meanwhile, Celtics fans are reportedly bracing for a turbulent season, with some speculating on trade rumors, roster adjustments, and even coaching strategy changes should the suspension be upheld. Historically, the NBA has been stringent with its anti-doping policies, but suspensions of this length remain rare, making this situation particularly sensitive. The timing could not be more critical, as the Celtics were viewed as strong contenders for the upcoming championship. The loss of Tatum, even temporarily, could reshape the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. As the story develops, the league is expected to conduct a thorough investigation, and an official announcement could come in the coming days. Until then, the basketball community is left in suspense, speculating whether this is a career-defining setback or a misunderstanding that will be cleared up. One thing is certain. Jason Tatum's reported suspension has ignited a firestorm of rumor, debate, and disbelief that shows no signs of slowing down. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.